A firm began disposing of thousands of truckloads of decomposing orange garbage inside a Costa Rican national park in 1997. The smell was intolerable. The area was overrun with flies. The locals were incensed. They were sued by the government, and the initiative as a whole was shamefully shut down. After that, nobody gave it any thought. No scientist came for 16 years. No official from the government arrived. It was dismissed as an embarrassment, that rotting, foul-smelling area of land. In 2013, an interested graduate student discovered an abandoned study paper and made the decision to investigate the true fate of that landfill. He was not merely shocked by what he discovered. The entire scientific community was taken aback because decades of costly reforestation initiatives had failed to do what that forgotten, abandoned pile of orange peels had. A forest had grown there. Before we get into what they actually found, if you've ever felt like the things the world throws away hold more power than we're told, you need to stick around for this one. And if you're new here, hit subscribe, because we find the stories they don't put in the headlines. Let's go back to the beginning, not to 1997, further. Northwestern Costa Rica, specifically a place called the Área de Conservación Guanacaste, or ACG. This is no ordinary stretch of jungle. In 1999, UNESCO declared it a World Heritage Site. It is one of the most biodiverse regions on Earth, home to endangered dry tropical forests, volcanic landscapes, and thousands of species found nowhere else on the planet. But here's what they don't show you in the travel brochures. By the late 20th century, large portions of the ACG had been completely destroyed, not by foreign corporations, not by illegal loggers, by cattle farming. Decades of overgrazing had stripped the land bare. The roots were gone, the shade was gone, the topsoil had compacted into something closer to concrete than earth. Scientists call this kind of degradation desertification, where living land slowly becomes barren and lifeless, unable to sustain even basic plant growth. Imagine standing in a field so dead that the earth cracks under your feet. No birdsong, no shade, just wind and dust. This was the reality for vast stretches inside a protected national park. Restoring it through conventional methods, planting seedlings, importing fertilizer, hiring labor, would cost millions. It was logistically impractical on any meaningful scale. Enter two people who refused to accept that. Daniel Janzen, a MacArthur Genius Fellow, a man who had been studying Costa Rican ecosystems since 1963. His wife and research partner, Winnie Hallwachs, equally sharp, equally relentless. Together, they were affiliated with the University of Pennsylvania and had spent years advising Costa Rica's conservation efforts. They knew the ACG better than almost anyone alive, and in the mid-1990s, they were looking for a solution that was cheap, scalable, and bold enough to actually work. Then one day, the solution came to them, in the form of a problem that belonged to somebody else. Not far from the ACG, a relatively new orange juice company called Del Oro SA had begun operating in the Guanacaste region. Business was good, but with good business came a mountain of waste. Every single day, Del Oro processed thousands of oranges. What remained after the juice was squeezed out, the peels, the pulp, the fibrous leftover matter, had to go somewhere. Disposing of it in conventional landfills was expensive. Burning it wasn't ideal either. The company needed a solution. Janzen and Hallwachs saw it immediately. What if the waste could become the medicine? In 1996, the two ecologists brokered an agreement between Del Oro and the ACG management. The terms were simple. Del Oro would be permitted to dump its orange waste onto a designated 3-hectare stretch of degraded pasture land inside the park. In exchange, the company would provide a financial contribution to the park's conservation fund. No expensive machinery, no chemical fertilizers, no imported seedlings, just 12,000 metric tons of orange peels, the weight equivalent of roughly 2,000 adult African elephants, spread across dead, compacted earth. The science behind it was grounded in a concept called ecological succession, the process by which a damaged ecosystem gradually rebuilds itself through layered biological activity. Janzen and Hallwachs believed the decomposing citrus matter would suppress the invasive grasses choking the soil, feed soil microbes, reintroduce nitrogen and phosphorus, and essentially create the conditions for native trees to return on their own. On paper, it was genius. In practice, it looked like a crime scene. By 1997, the trucks started rolling in. Hundreds of them, bright orange mounds of rotting citrus waste, piled high in the tropical heat, steaming and fermenting in the sun. The smell reached nearby towns. Imagine living close to what appears to be an industrial dump inside a national park. That's what local residents were waking up to. The stench of fermentation, swarms of flies, pools of citrus liquid seeping into the ground. It looked and smelled like environmental destruction. Complaints came fast. Environmental agencies were dragged in. Journalists showed up. But the most damaging blow came from a competitor. Tico Fruit, a rival orange juice company operating in the same region, filed a formal legal complaint against Del Oro. Their argument? That dumping industrial waste inside a protected conservation area violated Costa Rica's environmental protection laws. That Del Oro was exploiting a public resource under the cover of philanthropy. Was it really about the environment? Or was it about the fact that Del Oro had found a way to eliminate its waste disposal costs entirely, while getting good press for it? Think about that for a second. Tico Fruit was facing the same disposal problem. Del Oro had quietly solved it, and now, Del Oro looked like the good guy. The legal battle escalated quickly. By 1998, barely 1 year after the dumping had begun, a Costa Rican court ruled in favor of the opposition. Del Oro was ordered to immediately cease all waste deposits. No more trucks, no more peels. The project was over. The site was abandoned. No signage was left. No monitoring was arranged. The court ruling had effectively erased the experiment from official consideration. And for 16 years, the world looked away. Here's where it gets genuinely strange. Because what was happening under that rotting mound of orange peels, while no one was watching, was something that nobody predicted. If you want to understand what nature does when humans step back, keep watching. Like the video if this is the kind of story you want to see more of. 2013, Princeton University. A graduate student named Timothy Treuer is buried in research papers on tropical forest restoration. He comes across an old academic article written by Janzen and Hallwachs that briefly mentions the Orange Peel project. One line stands out. The site had not been revisited since the project ended. Treuer paused. 16 years had passed. No one had gone back. He reached out to Janzen and Hallwachs. Both were still active in Costa Rica. Both were willing. Together, they decided to find the site. Finding it was harder than expected. The original markers were gone. The landscape itself had changed. The dry, cracked pasture they were looking for simply no longer existed as they remembered it, because in its place stood a forest, not a patch of regrown grass, not a few scattered saplings. A forest, towering trees, thick canopy, coiling vines, dense undergrowth, insects buzzing, birds calling. The forest floor layered with decomposing matter, fungi networks, and root systems stretching in every direction. Treuer described standing there as surreal. The team needed a GPS reading and old survey notes to confirm they were even in the right place. They were. The dead pasture, the one buried under orange peels in 1997, had become one of the most biologically active patches in the entire region. Treuer launched a formal ecological comparison. His team established a control plot nearby. Similar land, same climate, same history of cattle degradation, but with no orange waste history. The difference was staggering. In 2017, Treuer published his findings in the journal Restoration Ecology. The results: the orange peel site showed a 176% increase in above-ground biomass compared to the control plot, nearly 3 times more plant matter, taller trees, greater canopy coverage, higher soil moisture. The soil chemistry had been completely transformed, elevated levels of nitrogen, higher phosphorus and carbon content. The organic matter from 16 years of decomposed citrus had essentially rebuilt the biological foundation of the earth from the ground up. The invasive grasses, the same species that prevent tropical forests from recovering, had been completely suppressed. The thick initial layer of peels had suffocated them before they could compete with native seedlings. And here is the part that should make every person in the restoration world lose sleep. Not a single tree was planted. Not a single seed was sown by human hands. No irrigation, no follow-up maintenance, no funding after 1998. The forest grew itself. The Costa Rica story didn't end with Treuer's paper. In 2021, researchers from the University of Hawaii ran a parallel experiment in Costa Rica, this time using discarded coffee pulp, another agricultural byproduct. Within just 2 years, tree cover on the treated plot had reached 80%, compared to just 20% on the untreated control land. Invasive grasses had vanished. Native saplings had shot up to 5 meters in height. The pattern was becoming undeniable. Agricultural waste, the stuff we burn, landfill, or leave rotting in piles, may be one of the most underutilized ecological restoration tools on the planet. But hold on, because scientists are careful here, and you should be too. Not all agricultural waste works the same way. Some materials alter soil pH to toxic levels, dump too much citrus waste, and the soil becomes too acidic for the very microbes that drive recovery. The wrong type of organic matter in the wrong ecosystem doesn't restore land, it further degrades it. So this isn't a universal magic fix. It's a highly context-specific tool that requires careful ecological planning. And yet, the question it raises is enormous. How much land are we letting die while perfectly useful organic matter rots in landfills next door? Personally, this story does something to me. We live in a world that constantly tells us restoration is expensive, that fixing what's broken requires massive investment, government programs, international funding. And in some cases, that's true. But the ACG site sat abandoned for 16 years. No budget, no attention, no human intervention. And nature quietly built a forest anyway. What bothers me, and I mean this genuinely, is the lawsuit. Tico Fruit didn't file that complaint to protect the environment. There was money and market advantage behind that decision. And because of a corporate rivalry, one of the most promising low-cost restoration experiments of the 20th century was shut down after just 1 year. We will never know what that site would have looked like at year 5 or year 10, or what it might have inspired if the project had been allowed to run its course openly and legally. That's the part that stays with me. Sometimes the most dangerous thing isn't the rotting pile of orange peels. It's the people who benefit from keeping the land dead. If a forgotten, illegal-looking dump of fruit waste can grow a forest in 16 years with 0 human involvement, imagine what's possible when we actually try. Drop your thoughts in the comments. I want to know what you think this means for the future of restoration, or whether you think there's something else going on here that we're not being told. Hit like, share this with someone who needs to hear it, and subscribe if you want more stories that make you rethink everything you thought you knew.